Good afternoon. I'd like to chat with you just for a few minutes about a topic I'm calling patiently waiting. I find myself in a very interesting moment of time. This is early August 2021. I'm looking at the world situation and been quite fascinated with the various financial platforms that have been sending out signals, and they're all intricately connected to each other in some way. If one part of the dominoes game goes down, the rest go down. But it's fascinating to watch the economists and the forecasters of financial things all kind of again warning us that we're very close to a very dramatic change in the way things are financially around the world. And they're only at this point speculating what the impact may be. And some of them have actually admitted that it's beyond their ability to actually forecast the true impact of a financial collapse, be it various currencies, be it stock markets, various markets like real estate market and others, um, the banking system, and this goes all the way up to the central banks. And then, of course, we have pending pandemic type variant viruses waiting to happen and to make their mark. And here we sit. For those that follow Christ and who follow the Bible, I find myself more occupied by what it says. And as it tends to lay out the various events and things that we can watch for, and as these things sort of begin to take place, when the players around the world, be it countries or individuals, move into place, which is a perfect setup for this new antichrist government that's coming, which will be a super ultra globalist movement where all platforms will be eventually administered and managed by one particular government group that will, by one way or the other, acquire the power to actually do the managing of countries and beyond that, even the world itself. So we see that type of, I guess, trend already starting to happen, and we're feeling it. And the interesting thing about being a follower of Jesus and also a reader of the Bible is that even at this point, I don't find myself wanting to react. I'm not as angry or as upset as some of my friends are who see that this early loss of rights and privileges is something to be up in arms about. I'm just trying to prepare myself for the fact that even greater rights and privileges are going to be taken away. Things that we've always assumed were, our God-given right, the owning of property, and you have bank accounts, and you have, no one can touch your resources. I mean, once it's yours, but all of these things are going to be challenged as the world gets further along into this timeline, these end time timelines. The measures are much deeper and more desperate measures are going to be required to try to keep the world somewhat on balance and from completely losing it everywhere. And then you've got outright chaos and bedlam. But these are kind of peaceful days right now. So here we sit patiently waiting for whatever world events are going to happen next, whatever the Bible has told us about and what we can watch for, and as they come to pass. And they're certainly coming together and lining up in a much more accelerated way than we probably could ever have imagined. But relatively speaking, this is kind of a peaceful time right before the storm. And it's a very fascinating time to be in. I find each of my days very, very interesting, knowing that these things are just around the corner, that even our secular, non biblical, atheistic friends in the financial community or otherwise are suggesting that this pending financial doom and correction, and in some cases crashes, is just around the corner. It only requires something very significant, but not necessarily huge, to just trigger the whole thing and to watch the falling of the dominoes. And it will catch up everyone from the poor to the rich, will all be impacted by this change of events. And again, for the Christian, it's something, I say the word excited, but it's something for the Christian to be positive about, because it's just one season closer to the return of Christ. And so I just wanted to share with you for a few minutes that if you're like me, it's not unusual to be just patiently waiting in a relative state of calm, even though many are getting very upset. And even some Christians I've seen have become very militant, and they're protesting this and protesting that. How dare you that doesn't matter. If, take the plane higher, look at it from a higher altitude. This is all part of a plan that is going to happen. And largely the tribulation and the tensions that we're going to feel in the world over the early years of the tribulation, they're all man-made. They're caused by men tormenting and putting other men in tribulation. That's God's pouring out of his wrath comes at a much later date. Maybe when you get to the sixth and seventh seal, certainly when the trumpet judgments start, you can start to see God's hand. But up until then, it is largely the enemy and man himself who's putting mankind through all kinds of horrible situations. And a lot of what's going to happen environmentally is caused by men. War that will decimate the land. And if we ever get into the nuclear part of it, I mean, it'll be man decimating the land. It's not God. His judgment, his wrath isn't poured out till later. And so these are very incredible days just prior to that. And so I find myself patiently waiting every day, and watching. And so I wish you the very best. If you have any thoughts on this, feel free to contact me. God bless you. Have a great day.